for your coming to this event. It's a very large turnout, and we're very pleased that you have joined us tonight. Before we start, I just want to say make a few announcements. As you know, the Los Feliz Improvement Association has been a fixture in Los Angeles, the oldest neighborhood association in the city. We were founded in 1916, which means that this is going to be our 95th anniversary year. And we are going to have a birthday celebration on May 16th at the Observatory. And this is going to be for members only, however. So if we would love to have all of you join the LFIA and be invited and join us at the Observatory for a wonderful birthday celebration. The observatory will be ours and ours alone. No one else will be there except for us, and we have a nice program planned. So please do join our organization, which has been working hard for the last 95 years to make Los Feliz the most beautiful community to live in the city, maybe in the United States. And we're very proud of it. If any of you filled out any questions, please get them to us right now, because they will not be considered if we get them any later than at this very moment. So if you have any, pass them to the aisle, and we'll have some of our board members pick them up. I have nothing more to waste your time with at this moment, except to invite the Autry, Luke Svetlin, who is representing the Autry. They've always offered their facilities to us at no charge. A very nice gesture for our community, and we always offer them a chance to tell you a little bit about their programs. So, Luke, I give you the floor.
Hi folks, good evening. It is great to have you here. Los Feliz Improvement Association has been here before, and it's really great for the Autry that you feel this is your neighborhood meeting place. You're always welcome here. I want to particularly acknowledge the presence of Councilmember LaBonge. Always great to have you in the building, sir. I also want to acknowledge the presence of the other two candidates, Mr. Box and Mr. O'Grady. And the 15-second shameless plug I will make for the Autry is this, that it occurs to me the event that's going on here tonight is really emblematic of what the Autry strives to be, a forum where a community can come together, discuss important issues, create a better present and a brighter future. And that's what the Autry strives to do, whether it's this neighborhood, this city, this state, or the American West. So it is really an honor to have you all here and you all here participating in that discussion. So thank you.
Before we go any further, I do want to do one more thing, and that is to acknowledge the hard work of our board of directors. These are 30-some individuals who have been working year after year for the betterment of Los Feliz, and they're the responsible parties for putting on this wonderful event. So at this time, I'd like all those who are on our board of directors to please stand in the audience. So at this time, I'd like to turn the podium over to our program co-chairs, Donna Zenner and Terry Hughes.
Terry and I are absolutely delighted that this program has come together as beautifully as it has, thanks to Tom and Stephen and Tomas, who have agreed to participate in it, because it is very important to the people of CD4 and our residents to understand what the candidates have to say, what they represent, and what they are going to do. Our program tonight is designed to be a question and answer program. It will be initiated by statements by our candidates as to their platforms, what they stand for, what they care about. And then it will turn into a question and answer program, which will be moderated by Allison Ferraro. I have to be very careful there. By Allison Ferraro, who is the publisher of the Los Feliz Ledger, who has graciously agreed to be the moderator of the program, who will ask questions of each of the candidates in turn, and we will see how that all evolves.
And the questions are based largely on issues that are important to Los Feliz residents. I think a couple of years ago we did a survey of our members, and they came back with a lot of issues, and we've culled through that, and we've narrowed it and made them more timely. So the issues are not too narrow, they're not too broad, but I think most of our members will understand why they're being asked. And what I'd like to do at this point is bring our moderator up. Allison Cohen Ferraro has experience in all areas of newspaper publishing. For many years, Allison worked in advertising and account management. Her clients included Mattel Toys, Domino's Pizza, McDonald's, owners, operators of Southern California, Standard Brands Paint Company, and Mocha Mix non-dairy creamer. Because of her extensive advertising background, Allison will work with clients on developing an advertising strategy and overall business plan in conjunction with advertising in the Ledger. And I, who have to get advertising for the Observer, which competes with the Ledger, it's a little problematic, but the Ledger has done such a great job, I am actually happy to be competing with her. I want to point out that Allison has her BA degree in broadcast journalism from USC, as well as her master's degree in print journalism from USC. She's worked in various, that's right, all the Trojans She has worked in various capacities, reporting and writing for the Los Angeles Times, including covering areas of education, nonprofits, daily breaking news, calendar features, and most recently feature writing for Sunday Real Estate section. So Allison is a great moderator for us. She understands the issues, and we're very grateful she's here. Thank you.
I want to say how privileged I am to be here and to be asked by the LFIA to moderate this forum. I really do feel very, very privileged to be here and to have brought the Ledger here. I know and I like all three of these gentlemen very much. I've worked with each of them in the last 5 or 6 years. I've known Tom actually longer. He helped put a speed bump in front of a house where I used to live. And it was really nice.
Before she had the paper.
Before I had the paper, long before I had the paper. But I've worked and talked and interviewed and gotten to know all three of these gentlemen very, very, very well over the last 5 or 6 years. And I'm in awe that you're willing to take this on and you to continue to take this on. And I called each of them yesterday to wish them good luck. And just, I want everyone to know this is their 3rd candidate forum, and they've got 2 more to go. And when they're not sitting here doing this with us tonight, they're crisscrossing all of CD4, shaking hands and talking about issues. So it's a lot of hard work, and I want to just applaud all 3 of you. I told Donna that I thought 5 minutes was too long for them to have an intro, but I got voted down. So you each have 5 minutes, and I'm not sure which wants to go first. Has that been decided?
Alphabetically.
Alphabetically. Let's see, first or last name. We got a couple of... Okay, so that would be Stephen Botts. So Stephen, you have... And this was another suggestion I gave the LFIA board, was that they should be timed. And you're gonna, I don't know who's sitting in the front audience, the front row here, they're gonna be giving you cues of where you are. And I saw these guys respect those cues last week in Silver Lake. So I know that they'll do the same here. So Stephen, it's your turn. You've got 5 minutes. Make it happen.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for your hospitality. It's an honor to be here.
and I'm grateful for your commitment to the democratic process. Tonight I'm going to convince you that on March 8th you have a real choice to make on who's best suited to represent you and this community and our city. My name is Stephen Box, and I'm running for City Council representing District 4, a place I'm proud to call home. It's where I've lived for the last 13 years, and it's where I met my lovely wife, Ency, who I might point out made her decision to move to Los Angeles after visiting Los Feliz, so thank you. And Ency and I share a united passion for improving the quality of life in our community. Some of you may know me as an entertainment industry professional, and last year I produced a film that was shot here in Hollywood where we established sustainability standards for the entertainment industry. It was the subject of a documentary, Real Sustainable, and we demonstrated that you can encourage film production in LA and at the same time raise the standard for sustainability. Some of you may know me as a transportation advocate. I work to bring federal and state funding to the city of LA, safe routes to school funding for the small streets, and then highway safety improvement project money for the big streets. Last year in the Transportation Committee, I found a mistake and was able to return $7.3 million to our streets to make them safer for everybody. Some of you may also know me as a budget advocate, and I'm the co-founder of Budget LA, which is an environment where people from around the city can come together to work on the city's budget. And I'm a budget advocate, and last year during the budget hearings, I was there every day, a record that was unmatched by most of the city council, and in fact some of them weren't even there. And I was there fighting for the departments that are important to our great city mandate: rec and parks, libraries, and the departments that deliver the services that support our most vulnerable, like the Department of Disabilities. And while I was there, I discovered there was a department that had funding for staff but none for operations, a mistake that had made it past the deputy mayor, 2 general managers, all of their staff, and the entire city council. So through it all, I would contend that we are in the middle of a crisis. And so it's not just the budget crisis, or a traffic congestion crisis, or a parking crisis, or a land use crisis, or a collapsing infrastructure crisis. I would offer that the city of LA is in the midst of a crisis of leadership. And that's why I'm running for city council. Because I believe we can do better. In fact, I believe we must do better. So I'm here to tell you that the era of pothole politics is over. You shouldn't have to go to your council office to get smooth, safe, well-lit streets that move traffic and get you where you need to go. We live in a complaint-driven city, not a standards-driven city. And you have the right to expect a city administration that delivers city services based on standards that you can count on. So I stand up here with 2 other gentlemen, one of whom is known as the outsider, and he does good work in his neighborhood. And the other is known as the insider, someone who's had 35 years to measure your outrage and to deliver city services accordingly. And that must change. So I ask you to listen carefully tonight. You're not going to hear me tell you I'm angry and fed up. And you're not going to hear me tell you that we need more time to fix old problems. You're going to hear me talk about solutions and opportunities to work together to create a well-planned and well-funded city that delivers on its great city mandate. So my name is Stephen Box, and I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Stephen. That was well under 5 minutes. You had a minute to spare.
Well, that's good, Allison. We're all going to be that way. Good evening, Allison. Thank you for what you do. Thank the LFIA. First and foremost, I want to introduce my wife, Bridget, my son, Charles, and then Catherine. Great support that I get from my family. Las Vegas Improvement Association, 1916. Let's go way back to that time. The trees along the boulevard, all the way from Western down to the fountain. Very important. Your forefathers and mothers planted them. The kind of fight that you've given to make it a special neighborhood, you've been there. And we have other neighborhood leaders from other parts of the community here, which we welcome to this night, but it's Los Feliz' chance to hear the candidates in this democratic process. I've loved to help people all my life. Growing up with a big family, which many of you know my family, we grew up in Silver Lake. In our neighborhood, we had jobs. We had jobs to make sure things were good in the neighborhood. We swept all the way from the Fitzpatricks down to the Wongs. Not just in front of the Labange house, but we did the whole street. Why? Because we probably broke a few windows playing baseball. And my dad wanted to make sure the neighbors didn't run the Labanges out of town. The history is deep, but the history of service is what I'm about. I love to help people. I love to make people feel good about Los Angeles. And we're in challenging times. It's not just Los Angeles, but Chicago, New York, from Miami to Seattle, all cities and small ones in between. Experience counts. Having the great opportunity to work with then Mayor Tom Bradley on his youth council when he won in 1973 and opened the doors wide of diversity for people to come to City Hall. And as a young member, I worked with Mark Thomas, who's now Mark Ridley Thomas. He went to Manual Arts, I went to Marshall. That experience helped me further my ability to help our community. And working with people that I went with in our high school to save Marshall High and thank LFIA. Because does anyone here, wait a second, before you clap, did anybody here go to LA High? Sometimes there's one LA High, one Roman. The Romans did not rise in 1971 to save the beautiful LA High School on Olympic Boulevard because the community was not around to fight for it. But here in Los Feliz, the LFIA, the people, Joanne Gabrielson, Nina Mohi, the great Nina Mohi, Alberta Burke, all of them led the charge. And it was the first community meeting that I went to save our high school, which is so important because what makes our community is our neighborhoods. And from the neighborhoods of the Great Observatory, built in 1935, Parkinson, that great architect, as Ed Krupp calls it, it's the hurdlement for Los Angeles. The park in its expanded self, Ferndale, which I walked through this morning, and it was so beautiful, so beautiful. The Franklin Avenue Bridge, the Gateway Shakespeare Bridge, John Marshall High, the new track and field, which is so important for the community and youth soccer. All the elements of our community make it special. And with the experience that I've had and the energy that I work with, I help people. I'm in the business of helping people. And I help people. And experience counts in a challenging time. So I look forward to working with you. Many of you I've worked with over the course of time. I'm proud of many of my endorsements that have given me strong support. And I will continue to work hard for you. And thank you all. And one thing I just want to say, vote yes on L. L is the library issue. And what happens, we got one librarian who's clapping right there. What happens is this, the LA Times and the Daily News came out against it. And when I talked to them both, I said, hey, if you have a house, and you set up your house, you want to make sure certain things are special. When we set up our house in 1925 with the charter, in that charter we said we're going to set aside some for library, some for parks. And again in 1999 we reestablished that commitment. Direct funding for libraries and parks. And now to try to get the libraries back to 6 days a week, we're asking you to vote L. It doesn't change the taxes, it just makes the piece of pie, which is a tough piece of pie to cut, means that we cut for the library and cut for the parks. Because if we don't cut for them, it's a challenge that you won't see made. And I'm fighting for the libraries and our parks. Thank you very much.
My name is Tomas O'Grady, and I'm running for City Council. And I'm here tonight to respectfully ask for your vote. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and reared on a small farm in the west of Ireland. And growing up, we worked hard, we saved our pennies, and we learned how to be resourceful. I came to the United States in 1991 with $80 in my pocket. Then I met my wife, Justine, which is... Where are you, Justine? There you are. This is my wife, Justine, over there. Before moving to Los Angeles, we restored old brownstones in Hoboken, New Jersey, which is just across the water. I started life off as a carpenter. We worked hard. We did well. We were frugal with our pennies. And by 1999, we were ready to start a family. And we moved to Los Angeles. America has been good to me and my family. America has worked for me. I'm running for Los Angeles City Council, and I grew up on a small farm in Ireland. That's pretty amazing for me. I don't think my story is no longer possible for most people. And I would submit that it's particularly impossible in this city. Try to open a small business, try to get a decent education. We don't even have basic library service. I would submit that LA only works for a few. I don't think that's right. That's why I'm running for city council. Not to be a politician, but to be a public servant. Leadership is not about cheerleading or showing up pretending to fill a pothole or a photo op. Leadership is about courage. It's about doing the right thing. It's about being unpopular. Leadership is about walking the walk and leading by example. I have a track record in this neighborhood of getting things done and leading by example. Working with the Greater Griffith Park Neighborhood Council, we put a garden in over at King Middle School. And that's helped that school become a viable option again for the middle class in this community. I'm very proud of that. We've planted 3 trees through the neighborhood council. And in my area, we are at 100% compliance with regard to gas blowers. I feel very strongly about that because 1 in 5 children in Los Angeles use an inhaler. I'm no nonsense, I'm direct, and I'm impatient. I've been described as sincere to a fault, but I've also been described as incorruptible. I was recently described in a blog as a naive idealist. You know what? You're right. I'm a naive idealist. I was so naive that I thought that if we put a garden in at King Middle School, that school would be the better for it. And you know what? King Middle School is the 2nd most improved middle school in all of Los Angeles last year. Okay? I want to recognize we have Dr. Sarah Napier here. She's been the chair of the Education Committee for a number of years in the Greater Griffith Park Neighborhood Council. My wife, Justine, and I were so naive. In the year 2001, we took a calculator at the dining room table, and we calculated how much we'd have to pay off our mortgage. You know what? We did. We're mortgage-free today. That's how naive we are. Okay? Thank you. You could call me a progressive who hates waste. I like the fact that we pay taxes to help the less well-off. I want to help the homeless. But I think what's been going on in the last decade is the money that we have paid has not gotten to the places that we had wanted it to. I think it's being wasted. And I'm running for city council to change that. LA should be the shining city on the hill. But you know what? For most people it's not. For most of us it is. But for most people it's not. I'm looking to change that. I'm looking to make the city more fair. And I have a track record in bringing people together to get that job done. My name is Tomas O'Grady, and I'm respectfully asking for your vote for City Council. Thank you.
I just wanted to add something here. I had never heard the name Tomas O'Grady until suddenly, somewhere out of no place, this man wins a seat on the Greater Griffith Park Neighborhood Council by a landslide, 400 and 700 votes or something, which... and the reason that he won that seat on that council is because he walked and he knocked on every door. He's very tenacious. So I know for a fact how hardworking, tenacious you are, and that you are blend to a fault. I've interviewed you a couple of times. When I first met Stephen, he was always wanting to talk to me about cyclists. And I was like, oh, here comes that guy talking to me about cyclists. And Stephen has written an editorial for the Ledger and has been very giving in his comments to me and his support of the paper. And I'm just so incredibly proud of both of you, having watched both of you sort of come from don't know who you are to be sitting here today. It's pretty terrific. And nothing to take away from you, Tom. Nothing at all. But these are some pretty good challengers, and they've worked hard, and they both have done a lot for this community. So we're going to go right now to our discussion questions, and I just want to remind everyone that these are questions that were written and vetted by the LFIA. And they are very, very, very focused on Los Feliz. So if you love Los Feliz and want to learn about what's going on here, you're going to hear a lot about it tonight. The first question that we have, I'm going to direct to Tom. And the subject matter is safety and security. And I'm going to pose this to you because I know that's your number one issue in this campaign and in your time as our city councilman. So here's your question, Tom. The significant reduction in crime over the last decade is very positive. What do you attribute this to, and how can the LAPD and community best ensure that crime rates stay low?
Number one, it's a joint effort. I'm proud of the Los Angeles Police Department and the reform. I'm proud when Chief Bratton got appointed, the mayor called me and asked me to go to breakfast with him, and I said no. Sent him to my house in Silver Lake. I took him around Silver Lake, took him to Los Feliz. Mr. Bratton loved Los Feliz. He lived here for many years, used to walk down the boulevard. His leadership changed the LAPD. Changed the LAPD, which is important. But also, neighborhood business districts are so important. It's about public safety, it's about public works, public humanities, public health. All these things are very important, public education. But public safety is key. And we know it's not just the situation which I need your help on into the future, to build a new police station, what we would call Northwest, because everything is busy in our area. Traffic impedes the flow from northeast to northwest of our division. In the southern part of the Wilshire area, we got new Olympic Station. I found that site. That site is real important. When you talk to the officers, they can put their hands around it. So it's very key to continue the Los Angeles Police Department's efforts. I'm proud to say the Los Angeles Police Protective League, the officers that serve you have endorsed me. And I think it's real important that we also know there's a component that we all share in as people who live in this district, to be aware of our neighbors, the block captain program, to be aware of our community, to look out for each other. So that is the key. But it's important that we always work for public safety, because if you don't feel safe, you're not going to go down Vermont Avenue and go to Fred 62, no matter what time of day it is. Thank you.
Stephen? Same question. Would you like me to repeat it, or?
No.
Okay.
Crime's down, and it's a great thing. We should do everything we can to keep it going down even further. The cornerstones of a great city are public safety, public works, public health, and public education, and all four of them equally contribute to crime going down, which is why it's unfortunate that we had departments that are part of that four cornerstone great city commitment that had to grapple so hard for funds. I'm completely opposed to either or choices from our city hall. So for example, right now you have a police officers versus libraries battle going on. And this is what we must end so that we fully commit to the great city mandate. And as someone who works with the CPAB, our Community Police Advisory Board, community policing is a big contributor. In other words, us partnering with the police department. But safe streets that are well lit, that people are comfortable crossing, eyes on the street, healthy communities, and well-educated, skilled young adults that are ready to participate in a robust economy. That's how we reduce the fact that it's so easy for kids to get involved in gangs, and 60% of our violent crimes are gang-related. So we've got to address that with the full complement of great city commitments. So thank you.
Tomas.
So I think it is great that crime is down, but the fact of the matter is we're heading into a fiscal crisis, and we're going to have to do more with less. And we're going to need leadership to reform some of the issues that are in the police department. And number one probably is pension and health. It costs too much. Okay? If we don't have leadership, or if we don't have a leader who's willing to be unpopular, well then there'll be less policemen on the streets. And I'm willing to do that. I agree with Stephen. Public education. Where does crime come from? It comes from people who are desperate, who don't have a job, they're not educated. I have a track record in working with children and having them frankly be educated so they can lead, so that they can lead fruitful lives. Our libraries are closed 2 days a week. I disagree. Measure L, I call it Measure Live. This was a letter that the Greater Griffith Park Neighborhood Council sent to City Council. We found the money for the libraries, except it's not just an accounting trick. We actually we found waste in the system, and of course we didn't even get a response. Right off the top there is councilman's salary, high council staff, councilman's slush fund. I believe that this money should go to the libraries so we can have libraries open 7 days a week, so we can avoid the crime in the first place. And let me say something about Chief Bratton. When Chief Bratton was leaving, he was on NPR. You know what he said? He said there's a problem in this city. City council people treat their districts like little fiefdoms, and they are the kings of those districts. And so he was frustrated. He was frustrated with trying to bring change to the city, and yet the city council people say, not in my district, dude, not in my district. So, thank you. Thank you for listening.
Tomas, I'm just curious, when did the GGPNC send that letter about Measure L?
So we sent it in August. Yeah, and it basically outlined the items which we at the Greater Griffith Park Neighborhood Council thought were unnecessary, so that we could fund the things that we thought necessary. And again, let me just point out, L doesn't do anything. It is a trick. It's a couple of percent moving in the other direction, and we'll have another fight coming up next year with regard to this. We need to cut waste and fund things that we care about. And not these tricky ballot measures that they don't do anything. Thank you.
Okay, we have a second question related to safety and security, and we're going to start again with Tom. We first started covering this issue at the Ledger in November of 2005, so it's still of interest to a lot of people. Since fire and security services are the last areas of the budget to be cut, we are concerned that the ranger staff in Griffith Park has been cut or replaced by the much less effective General Services Police. What is your position on the issue of the reassignment of ranger duties to the General Services Police and the overall diminished head count of rangers in the park? Keep in mind that we interviewed John Kirk Muckrey in 2010, March, and he said that the rangers will continue to shrink in the park.
The challenge that we have is to make sure every dollar is effective. Most important is our police and fire. Most important is the collaboration and experience that I have brought to the table years and years. Long before the fire in Griffith Park in 2007, long before that, I was on this stage working with your leadership to get the issue of improving the water system. There were more holes in the water system than all the holes at Wilson, Harding, and Roosevelt golf courses. The water system didn't work. Thanks to the LFIA, it changed that. Okay, as you look to the Ranger program, there was this very serious challenge in a personnel matter that impeded them from growing. Okay, and that's what you should really know. And also, Wendy Gruhl, who was our good city controller, came up with a plan to try to consolidate some of these functions of public safety, which are so important to augment both the LAPD and the fire department. I like to see more rangers. I like to see the superintendent come back to Griffith Park, but we have had a challenge in our budget. And Ms. Bush right here was so helpful so many times on those issues, which is key. But as we look for that, I welcome a discussion that would have the LFIA work with General Services, work with the park rangers. If you look at our park system, you could see that it's very important to have rangers in a neighborhood that serves the people. And I am committed to that, but it's not just one person who's going to be able to pull it off. It's a collaboration. And also General Services does respond. They were very instrumental in the fire of 2007 to help in the evacuation of east portions of Los Feliz. So I think there's a little element there that can be improved with better relations between LFIA and its board. And I told your president I will arrange a meeting so that you can have that dialogue and we can hold people accountable. Thank you very much.
Park rangers and general...
Park rangers, absolutely a commitment we need to make. I live on Canyon. The park rangers were introduced to us as our primary point of contact if there was an emergency. I'm a volunteer fireman. My wife and I are part of the community emergency response team. In fact, we're the ones that set up the evacuation center during the Griffith Park fire. And our original instructions were to connect with the park ranger, who has then disappeared. And when I was knocking on doors collecting signatures, the people that live in my neighborhood are kind of outraged because they don't feel like they're getting the protection they need from park rangers who know intimately the park and the community around it. And so we have lots of sworn officers in the city of LA in different departments, but park rangers belong in our parks, and Griffith Park is the largest urban wilderness in the United States of America, and it's absolutely an abdication of responsibility not to put professional park rangers protecting the park and connecting with us.
Okay, so that was 2 vague answers. We should have park rangers. We ought to discuss having park rangers, but still no park rangers. I'm a little more blunt about it. So we need park rangers, or about 100 grand a pop. How many are we missing? How many are we missing? Does anybody know?
No.
12 park rangers. That's 1.2 million. Where do we start? Okay, a city council person makes $180,000 a year. The Pew Research Foundation estimates the package is worth $250,000 per year. A city council person makes more than a U.S. senator. I'm the only candidate that is committing to cutting my salary. Why? Because I think it's the right thing to do. Why? Because actually, you know what? That is $90,000 right there for a park ranger. Let me go on. There is a petition circulating around Marshall High School today among students. What does the petition say? It's saying, why didn't you ask us? We spent $7 million on a new, football field. You know what? We couldn't afford it. We can't even open the bathrooms at Marshall. So, you know, all these vague answers. We have a 20-person staff in each council office, all very nice people. Okay? Mayor Rodriguez, you're a lovely person. I like you. But you know what? We can't afford it. It's a question of priorities. Do we need park rangers? Or do we need somebody to make us feel good? Okay? Mr. LaBonge walks around with a photographer. I was at King Middle School a few weeks ago planting an orchard. I was told I had to leave one tree. I had to dig the hole myself. So Mr. LaBonge and his entourage could come and plant the tree. We didn't need that. What we need are park rangers. And I'm committed to cutting the things we don't need so we can pay for the things that we do need.
Tom, is there anything that you'd like to respond to?
Experience counts, and it's real important that you collaborate and work with people. It's not done alone. And staffs are real important. And to make sure that you work with the people in the neighborhoods. And it's real important to know that the voters of Los Angeles said, city council members, you're only one paycheck. And you're tied to the Superior Court of the County of Los Angeles. We have no other job. My job is to help you. And 7 days a week, I'm in some part of this district. I'm away from my family to help people. And that's what it takes. And in the challenging times that we're going to have, you can't have part-time people who can retire at whatever age you did, Tomas, which is congratulations. And I love immigrants. I absolutely love immigrants. It's very important to see that. But you retire, which is great. But it takes collaboration, and you don't do it alone. And I hope, not just me, but whether it's anyone from state senator office to the congressional office, use staffs. That's the effective way to get it done. And I will tell you, and I want to be very honest with you, one of the problems we had on this is Albert Torres is the chief ranger. Who doesn't love Albert Torres? Raise your hand. Everybody loves Albert, okay? But Albert did not pass a test that allowed him to be the chief ranger, okay? Which stopped the whole process because Albert wanted to stay there. And we fought for Albert. I fought for Albert. But if you don't pass the civil service test, it's difficult. And that impeded us to try to deal with this issue. And so we could work with Mr. Buckley, and you got to work with people because you don't get it done alone. And I've worked with the LFAA all my life, and I'll continue to work with you. Thank you very much.
comment some more in a little bit at the close. Okay, we're going to move on to another issue that's very near and dear to us all. It's traffic. And this question is first directed to you, Mr. Bass. Do you have any pragmatic solutions in the lack of adequate parking in the business district of Los Feliz? I want to add that I believe the Los Feliz bid is actually, we reported that they're undergoing a study on this. So what can you do to help that, add to that, make that happen?
There are 7 parking spaces for every car in LA County. They're just not where you want them when you want them. With that being said, we don't get along well when it comes to parking. And you'll see a lot of parking lots with a chain to make sure you don't wear that parking lot out by using it without permission. So the first thing is we don't manage our resources well as a community or as a city. And that's the first level of support that we could offer a vibrant community in terms of parking. The second thing is parking money needs to stay in the local community. City of Pasadena revitalized Colorado Boulevard by keeping parking revenue for Colorado Boulevard. And now you can park once and then pick up your car elsewhere. But you don't have to keep moving it every time you go from a restaurant to the movies or to wherever. But now you park once, and because that parking space belongs to the restaurant, you want me to leave when I'm done eating. So your next customer can use it because we don't get along. And so that's got to end. The third thing is there are opportunities for us to take open space and to take it and to develop community parking. And great cities have opportunities for people to come and spend their money because they can park their cars and make them disappear. And the fourth thing is they got to come off the streets because our streets are jammed up, like Los Feliz, which is not only a traffic jam, but it's a used car lot. So we're so inefficiently using our public space. And so there's 4 opportunities for us to work together. But most specifically, the City of LA is considering building a $52 million parking structure for a billionaire, and you're not getting a parking structure in a neighborhood that needs one, and that's got to change.
Yeah.
Those community lot could be in Los Feliz?
Well, there's a couple of open lots down on Hollywood Boulevard, for example. And I know that there's going to be some negotiating going on. But of course, I offer you someone who's willing to confront that problem and take the lead on negotiating. One of the things we see on the ballot measures is there's a lot of turf war battles that are being kicked back to you, the people, to settle. Because what we don't have in City Hall is leadership in actually confronting some of these problems and negotiating solutions. And there are many solutions. This is the land of creative and innovative people. And I got to tell you, I have complete confidence that we can collectively come up with great community solutions. So there's some other properties that also could be developed using Quimby fees, for example, with underground parking. So it's open space that's turned into green space and public space that also serves the community by providing parking. And why we aren't pursuing these solutions is a complete abdication of leadership.
Thank you. Tomas, you didn't know you were next.
That's all right.
Okay, he's next.
A friend of mine, Ann Bradley, has been trying for years to get a dash that would circle Hillhurst down to Sunset and back again. Justine and I go to dinner every Friday on Hillhurst. We don't like to get in the car because it's too much trouble to load the 4 kids in the car and take them back out. If we had a dash, we could go to all the restaurants on Sunset, and then people wouldn't be driving as much in this area. Dash services are relatively cheap. Businesses are willing to chip in, but I guess we have lack of leadership. I don't understand why we haven't done it. Jim Standish, my friend, owns Lark Bakery in Silver Lake, and he said all the parking meters these days are now broken. You know why? Because we've laid off the people who fix the parking meters. I'm trying to remember what I said earlier. We need to pay for the things that we need. We need to get rid of the things we don't need so we can pay for the things that we need. Finally, we haven't updated our community plans in years. You know, at the neighborhood council, we're constantly fighting when a restaurant wants to open up. Where are they going to park? Do they have enough parking? It's a bicker fest every month. You know why we haven't updated our community plans? because we've gutted the planning department. We haven't gutted the council offices, but we've gutted the planning department. So we're doing 30-10 now. And so we have a transit system that's about to be built, and our planning hasn't kept up. We're disorganized as a city, and that's why we don't have enough parking. We need to plan, we need to do it properly, and we need to show leadership. That is how I would fix the parking in Los Feliz. Thank you.
Tom, I wanted to ask, did your office have anything to do with the meters that you can use your credit card for?
All on Los Feliz. First place, stood there with the mayor right by Daily Donuts. Put in the new meters. More are coming. It's effective and it's working. In many neighborhoods throughout my district, whether it's in North Hollywood and Larchmont, we've created parking. The difficulty of going underground, and that's a great idea, but you have a greater cost when you're going underground. To be specific for Los Feliz, it's a partnership and a collaboration. I need to work with the bid. I need to hear long merchants say, we want to, let's say, take the Mason Hall. The only thing they use it for is to park movie trucks. Right there at Franklin and Vermont. Not the northwest corner, as they said in that classic old movie, Double Indemnity. That's a great line. Meet me at the northwest corner, Franklin and Vermont. Remember that line, anybody? Oh, we got it there. That's a spot I would certainly look at there. That's a spot that we would look at. And also, the United States government is not, we're not immune to the challenges. The Postal Service, we're not immune. They're looking to redevelop the postal area there. And I want to make sure we do it right. Work with the Congressional Office, which is Karen Bass, the great Congresswoman, just replaced Diane Watson, the great Congresswoman who endorsed me. Both of them endorsed me because they know how I work. But that's something we have to identify and do. And Pasadena is a great place. And they did one thing. They built big structures with their community redevelopment agency. They also gave a lot of beer and wine licenses out, which helped restaurants and art galleries. And you see that happening more, and which is so nice, it's happening on Hollywood. On Hollywood between Virgil and Hillhurst all the way up to Vermont. And it's happening because entrepreneurs are going in there. The big thing that I got to look for the future is to acquire the land south of Fire Station 35 for New Station 35, because public safety is #1, and that 60-year-old station, which backs their trucks in off of Hillhurst, needs a new house and also has to have improvements as well. So there's a lot of issues there, but I know every block, not just in your neighborhood, but in every neighborhood of this district, and I will find a way to help you in a collaboration effort. Thank you.
The Los Feliz Liquor offices are on Hillhurst and Avocado, and I often am forced to park on the street using the meter. And the meters were broken so much, I had it programmed into my cell phone, broken meter. I had to call so often. So thank you for I'm so grateful that it's on my credit card now, all the days I have to park there. The next question I'd like to skip, if you guys don't mind, it's about preferential parking, unless the audience really wants to hear about it. It's another traffic question. Or could we go back to it at the end, if we have time, about preferential parking districts? Okay. All right. Thank you. The next question is going to be directed first to Mr. O'Grady. It's about education in schools. And I just want to say that my son went to Thomas Starr King Middle School and would come home and say, everybody's just talking about this guy, Tomas O'Grady. And Tomas was pretty much everywhere at King Middle School and has made a huge difference there. I know that this is the #1 issue for Tomas in his campaign, and he is instrumental in having an eco-magnet open at King Middle School in the fall of 2011, which is really huge. My kids are sick of this, but I'm reading The World is Flat by Thomas Friedman, and it's exactly how it's going to work. It's an eco-magnet and educating our kids in a different way. So I want to pose this question to you, Tomas. I know this is near and dear to your heart. How would you facilitate motivating the community to get involved in the betterment of local schools?
I'd just like to recognize Marlon Bush. I don't know where she is. Marlon Bush has worked very closely with us at King Middle School, in addition to Sarah, over the years to make that school a better place. So, where are you, Marlon? There. Do I give her a round of applause? Okay. And those of you who know Marlon is tough, okay, but Marlon is fair. And she's given me a lot of advice over the years, and I very much appreciate it. Okay?
You're welcome.
So, public education.
And how are you going to get more in the community involved?
Okay, well, community involvement is key. Franklin Elementary, the success of that school, we're just shy of 900 this year. Okay? The success of that school, this has nothing to do with me personally, it's a group collaborative effort. We're involved all the time. So as the state has stepped down, as funding has dropped, we the parents have stepped up and we're raising money. We have an after-school program there. We have a garden there. We have classes. We pay for computers. So there's no question about parent involvement at Franklin Elementary. We are thriving. And just one more compliment to Franklin Elementary. We got nominated for an award last year, an Achievement Gap Award. I'm particularly proud of that. What it says about Franklin, unlike a lot of schools with high scores, is that the gap between the folks who are doing the best and the folks who are doing the least, if that's the right term, is very narrow. And that's what you want with a good school. And that's a compliment to our principal, Veronica Sasso. King Middle School, let's just be frank. A few years ago, King Middle School was the poor cousin, okay? Let me just be blunt, it was an embarrassment almost. People weren't going to that school, okay? I went in there, I founded Friends of Thomas Stark King Middle School, and we had 400 volunteers help us put in a garden at that school. We are on, this is our track at King Middle School. Everybody is working together. That's actually the slogan of my campaign, working together, anything's possible. I reject the idea that we blame teachers. I'm sorry, I see teachers, they work so hard, and I'm sick and tired of the criticisms, I'm sick and tired of the arguments about this. These teachers are amazing. I'm not just saying it to pander. They're educating my children, okay?
Tomas, your time is up.
I didn't know we had time. Oh,
right here.
Can I get another minute because I forgot? Yeah. Please?
No.
Well, he gets double time, doesn't he? He has double time last time.
No, come on. Go by the rules.
30 seconds.
Anyways, we have plenty of community involvement in this neighborhood. And one of the things, if I were a city council person, I would have community involvement in schools on steroids. The other thing I would like to do is create new partnerships between the libraries and the schools and the parks, so we're sharing assets and we're getting economies of scale. I have a track record on this, and this is the most important thing facing this city moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Tomas. Mr. Labange?
First of all, thank each and every one of you for your contribution in the bonds that help build new schools. That was our biggest challenge. And if you look back at LA Unified, there was nothing happening for years and years. And now a new high school is being built on San Fernando Road. The only thing that I would say that I wish, and John Leahy, who I met, his new middle school down on Union Avenue, and the improvements that are going at Virgil helps to offset the overcrowding that was at King and that is at John Marshall. The new high school on San Fernando Road will offset the number of students there that have the ratio student-teacher, which is so important. For anyone to be successful in any endeavor, they must be engaged. There's 168 hours in a week. We kicked off a program, 1 hour a week, read to me. I haven't had 1 hour for Charles, but I want to read to him. I want to read to him. My daughter's a great reader. That's an important avenue. Some of those things you're talking about, collating libraries at schools, we went through that at LFIA. We didn't want the new library on Tracy Street because they didn't want it to see, we wanted it separated. And there is sometimes a need for separation, but it was in the center of the community. It was discussed thoroughly because we looked at the site at Ames and Tracy, some of you may remember. Those things are important to look at where they're sited. Libraries are a good after school, good community resource in this tough economic time. People go and learn about opportunities or changing jobs, which is key. It's a whole big value. I support all schools. All schools, I support that, but we must be involved with the lives of our children and our schools. I'm very proud of John Marshall. I'm very proud of the new track and field, because you know why? Girls track had 30 girls. 30 girls come out. Now, over 100 girls come out for track and field. Over 100 girls. And the community is using it on weekends. It's so important. That took 41 years to get there. Because when I played there, they said they're going to fix it. They never did. I keep my promises.
Thank you, Tom.
The question is, how can we involve the community more with schools? And I would reframe the question, because it's been my experience in this community that this is perhaps one of the most involved communities in the city. And I work with neighborhood councils around the city, from San Pedro to Chatsworth to Palms to Eagle Rock. And I'm telling you, this particular community is already well involved. To reverse the question, what can the City of LA do to support schools? And I think we can do a few things. First of all, the City of LA didn't support schools when it pushed Prop 22 forward, which actually takes money away from our school districts. The City of LA actually worked to protect $931 million of CRA funding, and as of last week, if Brown's move to abolish the CRA went through, that would be $329 per student, 700,000 students. That's $220 million that would prevent us from issuing pink slips. But the City of LA moved to block that money. So there are specific opportunities for the City of LA to work big picture in huge funding opportunities to support the school district, so you can continue to partner with your school, so you can continue to support the teachers that are doing great work, so we can continue to partner as community with the schools, but it requires money, and we've got to loosen up that money from the CRA and put it back where it belongs. That's where I'd start. Thank you.
Tom, do you want to comment at all on the CRA funding issue? And
Just a little quick history here. Biggest thing that happened to us, biggest thing was the subway. $4.2 billion. That transformed Hollywood. Remember how tough those motels were? Okay, now there's tourists in there because the subway came through. There should have been a stop at Barnsdall, not as opposed to Sunset. It would have been better for us, but they didn't do that. That has transformed